Democratic Congressman Eugene Vindman joins us live this morning. Eugene Vindman and his family came to the United States as Russia's refugees fleeing Russia, and a retired lieutenant colonel. He testified at President Trump's impeachment trial back in 2019. Congressman, good to see you. It's good to have you on the program. I think it's your first time since you were sworn in, so we appreciate your time this morning. 3 years on Monday.
Great to be on, Tom.
Thank you. And there has been a dramatic shift now in the United States' position on this war with the new president in office. What do you make of the president's moves on ending this war, but yet the way he is going about it?
Well, look, I think everybody wants the war to end. Ukraine has been at war for 11 years, but this full-scale invasion now for 3 years, entering our fourth year tomorrow. And so the war needs to end. The Ukrainians want to end it more than anybody. Really, the Russians can end it today by just withdrawing from Ukrainian territory. This all started from an invasion into Ukraine, a violation of Ukraine's sovereignty. And so, look, the war is critically important. It's directly related to U.S. national security. It's a humanitarian disaster. And folks in my district understand that very clearly. I mean, it was remarkable. A few weeks ago, I was out in Culpeper, and I spoke to a group of farmers, and they said that their input prices for fertilizer still have not recovered from the invasion. And so sometimes it's actually easier to talk to farmers and folks that see the impacts, but then folks in the suburbs that think that there's an ocean that separates us. And I would also add that, frankly, this is a radical shift. It's a move away from our own values, our interests in maintaining an international order, working with our allies, democratic countries around the world, and towards autocrats in countries like North Korea that is directly participating in the war, Russia, China that's supporting the war, and Iran that's directly participating.
What did you make of the president's comments that Zelensky started the war?
It's outrageous. The war started when Russia invaded Ukraine. There's no changing that. This is probably one of the most well-documented wars in history. Russia started the war by invading Ukraine, by attacking across 3/4 of the country's front, and in an attempt to actually wipe Ukraine from the map. Frankly, I don't believe that that main objective has changed. The Russians have never backed away from that. But they're looking at this as an opportunity to potentially digest parts of Ukraine unless there are significant security guarantees. And so Ukraine obviously has experienced this for now 11 years, constant attacks over decades throughout the region on former Soviet republics in Georgia, in Moldova. And it's pretty apparent what what Russia is trying to do, which is rebuild the Russian Empire.
Congressman, 3 years is a long time, and the war has gone on for a long time. What do you say to people in this country who say there are needs here in the United States, there are things that need to be addressed here at home, and that the United States cannot continue to spend the kind of money that they've been spending for the past 3 years in Ukraine?
Well, I would say that I generally agree. We do have needs, urgent needs, pressing needs in the United States. We have too many people that are poor, too many people that are homeless, too many people out of a job. And frankly, a lot of that in recent weeks is as a direct result of this administration's policy. But what I would also say is that the U.S. has at best been tangentially involved in this war. We've provided some limited material. We've provided 31 tanks, not a single aircraft. Not a single ground or foot soldier. Mm-hmm. North Korea, frankly, has been much more engaged in this war. They've provided 10,000 soldiers, by some accounts even more, to fight directly in Ukraine, in Russia, on the battlefield. And so we've provided billions of dollars, undoubtedly, but the Europeans have provided even more.
I want to ask you about a letter that you sent last night to the White House. I have it here, to the president, questioning the firings of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Obviously, you have a long background in the United States Armed Forces. What do you make of that firing, and will that have any effect on United States military readiness?
I have no doubt it will. Look, I'm one of the few career military officers in Congress on the House and Senate side. I know what it's like to dedicate my life to serving the American people at home and abroad. I did so for 25 years. And when you fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, two other four-star flag officers, you're cutting into the readiness of this country. You're cutting into the national security expertise. We're talking about, officers that each have had somewhere around, north of 30 years, some 40 years of experience, and you're replacing them haphazardly for no reason.
Yeah,
in
and
addition,
if I can, real quick, because we're running out of time, Congressman, you also sent a letter with 80 of your colleagues in the Virginia delegation to the White House and the administration about firings of workers. Is the White House going to listen to you? They seem to be not paying attention to what Democrats' complaints about this have been.
Well, actually, we have seen direct result of our own pressure. A few weeks ago, we introduced our first bill. I'm very proud of it. It was protecting or saving military families. We had a Republican, in fact, several Republicans that signed on, so it was bipartisan. The pressure from that bill and phone calls and letters caused the administration to backpedal. So we've seen results, and we have seen that it working in a bipartisan manner, which I think we demonstrated and we can do.
We're flat out of time, and I apologize, but we thank you for joining us live this morning.